What does she feel after you stop texting, after the calls stop, after the explanations run dry, after the man who once showed up, checked in, cared deeply, vanishes into silence? Not out of spite, not to get a reaction, but because he's done, because he's drained, because he finally realized that peace is louder than pleading. That's when everything shifts, not for you, but for her. See, silence doesn't hit her right away. At first, she thinks it's just space, thinks she's still in control. But slowly, the reality creeps in. The silence doesn't break. The attention doesn't return. The man she thought would always be there is just gone. And that emptiness? That's when the emotional spiral begins. Because now, your silence is the conversation. It's the message. It's the punishment she gave herself. You're not ghosting her. You're not playing games. You're doing the one thing most men never do after heartbreak. You're healing without asking her permission. And that's what shakes her, that she no longer has access to the man who once made her feel powerful. You didn't block her. You just moved on, quietly, with no announcement, no performance, just complete emotional detachment. And now, she's the one doing all the overthinking. If you've mastered the strength to go silent, not to get her back, but to get yourself back, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below. My silence protects my peace. Now, let's begin. Number 1. At first, she feels relief. When you first go silent, she doesn't take it seriously. She doesn't see it as a shift. She sees it as a pause, a timeout, a moment of emotional cool-down before you circle back like you always do. In fact, there's a strange calm that settles over her, a quiet, temporary sense of relief. You're not texting, you're not calling, you're not over-explaining, over-apologizing, or trying to force conversations that drain both of you. And to her, that space feels like she's won, like she reclaimed control of the emotional tone. She doesn't miss you yet. She assumes you're sitting in silence to get a reaction, to make her curious, to shift the power dynamic. She sees it as emotional theater, not transformation, and that's why she relaxes. She leans into the stillness like someone who believes she's in charge of how long it lasts. Maybe she even tells her friends it's better this way, that you finally got the hint, that you're giving her the distance she needed. But deep down, she's not registering what really happened. Because you haven't just gone silent, you've shut the valve. You're no longer pouring your energy into her, no longer giving her the emotional oxygen she got so used to. That silence isn't a tactic, it's a shift in identity. And that's the part she hasn't caught yet. She thinks you're taking a break, but you're actually breaking the pattern, for good. The relief she feels is built on a fantasy, that the man she used to control still exists, that he's just licking his wounds, waiting, plotting his return. But what she doesn't understand is that this silence, it isn't about her at all. It's about you, choosing yourself, cutting the emotional cord. And once that realization hits, once she starts to sense that you're not coming back, not in the same form, not with the same energy, that relief will rot into confusion, and then something worse. Number 2. Then she feels confusion. The silence lingers longer than she expected. A few days pass, maybe a week. Still nothing. No, just checking in. No emotional slip-up. No sign of you watching her stories or liking a post to remind her you're still out there. Now the relief starts to fade, and in its place, confusion. She starts to question what's really happening. You always came back. You always broke first. Even after arguments, even when she gave you nothing, you still reached out. It was like clockwork. But this time, the clock has stopped ticking, and that unsettles her, because now she's forced to face a version of you she doesn't recognize, quiet, unmoved, unreadable. Her mind starts asking the questions she never thought she'd ask. Why isn't he texting? Did he actually move on? Is he finally done with me? She'll never say it out loud, but internally, she's spiraling. Because your silence is doing something your words never could, it's reminding her that your presence was never guaranteed. The same silence she brushed off just days ago now feels unfamiliar. It's not passive, it's powerful. It's not a waiting game, it's a wall, and she doesn't know how to climb it. She expected you to wait, to fold, to orbit. But instead you've gone still, like someone who's already left the room and closed the door without slamming it. She's confused because she underestimated you, and confusion is the first crack in her control. Number 3, next comes doubt. Now the silence is pressing against her, heavier, uncomfortable. That confident story she told herself, the one where you'd come back, where you just needed time, where she was still in control, starts falling apart. Because you're still not chasing, still not reaching out, still not reacting. And now, she's not just confused, she's starting to doubt everything. She begins questioning herself. Did I misread him? Was he actually done before I even walked away? Did I push him too far? The same woman who thought she had you wrapped around her finger is now questioning if she ever really knew you at all. Your silence isn't just hurting her ego, it's disrupting her entire narrative about who you were and what you felt. This is the turning point, because doubt doesn't stay quiet. It spreads. It eats at her. It rewrites the story she was so sure of. She starts remembering the things you said, the way you showed up, the effort you gave, and how she downplayed it. She starts seeing the patterns she used to ignore, the games, the disrespect, the dismissiveness, and for the first time she wonders if maybe, just maybe, you're not the one who lost. Doubt is what happens when the illusion of control fades, when she stops thinking she can predict your next move and starts realizing you're playing a completely different game. A silent one. A serious one. The kind that doesn't end with another message, but with closure on your terms. You didn't argue. You didn't chase. You just left her alone with the one thing she can't outrun, her own second thoughts. Number 4. The silence turns loud. It started as quiet, manageable, dismissible, but now it's not just silence, it's noise. Loud, invasive, uncomfortable noise that fills every gap she thought she had control over. You're not texting, but somehow your absence is everywhere. In the spaces where your messages used to show up, in the parts of her day you used to check in on, in the little moments that used to revolve around your presence, your energy, your attention. Now she hears it constantly, the sound of nothing. Every time her phone buzzes and it's not you, it's another reminder. Every time she posts something for your attention and gets none, the silence grows teeth. She might not admit it, but it's eating at her. Because the longer you say nothing, the more she starts to hear everything she ignored. She hears your consistency, your effort, your availability, the emotional labor you did without ever needing credit. And now, it's gone, and that is deafening. That's the paradox. When a man goes truly silent, he doesn't disappear, he amplifies. He makes his absence more impactful than his presence ever was. And that's exactly what she's feeling now. Not because you ghosted, not because you blocked her, but because she knows deep down that your silence isn't a strategy, it's a statement, and it's not temporary. You're not punishing her, you're protecting your peace. And now she has to sit in the silence she once created, except now it belongs to you. Number 5. Her ego takes a hit. Up until now, she still believed she had time. Time to think, time to play it cool, time to let you sweat. But now the silence isn't just confusing, it's personal. Her ego's starting to crack. Not because you insulted her, not because you lashed out, but because you're doing the one thing she never expected. You're indifferent, and nothing bruises the ego like indifference. See, she could handle your love, even your anger. She could survive your sadness, your frustration, your questions. Those were still forms of attention, still proof that she mattered. But silence? Stillness? That says something different. That says you don't need her anymore. That says she no longer holds power. And that's the one thing her ego can't digest. She thought she was unforgettable, that no matter what happened, part of you would always orbit around her. But now she's realizing the truth. You've left the orbit entirely. You're not watching, you're not waiting, you're not wondering, you're just done. And that realization hits harder than any argument ever could. Her ego was built on your pursuit. It lived off your availability. Now it's starving. Now it's screaming. Because for the first time, you're not reacting. You're not proving. You're not playing the game she used to dominate. She didn't expect to lose access. She didn't expect to feel replaced, but now she's facing it. Not because you said anything, but because you didn't. Number 6, she checks if you've moved on. She can't ask you directly, not after how things ended, not while she's still pretending the silence doesn't bother her. But she's watching, quietly, carefully, checking your social media, checking your status, watching your stories if you post them, looking for clues, any sign that you still care, that you're still thinking about her, that the silence isn't real. Because now the panic has set in, the confidence is gone, she's not sure where you stand anymore, and that uncertainty eats at her. So she does what most people do when they're no longer in control. They start investigating. Has he moved on? Is there someone else? Is he really okay without me? She's not looking for closure. She's looking for evidence, proof that you're not over it, proof that she still matters. Because if you've really moved on, if you've really detached, then it wasn't just silence, it was a goodbye, and that's something her ego wasn't built to handle. So she watches, quietly, from a distance. Maybe she even throws out bait, a story, a post, a picture designed to trigger you. But when you don't react, when you give her nothing, that's when she starts to believe the one thing she never wanted to be true. You're not ignoring her to prove a point. You're just genuinely gone. Number 7, she plays games to pull you back. Now she's slipping into familiar territory, emotional tactics, indirect contact, strategic posts. She might start showing more skin on Instagram, suddenly become more active online, reconnect with mutual friends, post something vague that feels like a subtweet or a memory she wants you to see. She's testing the waters, not to fix things, but to regain control, because deep down she knows she's losing it. She might even reach out subtly. A casual, "Hey, hope you're good." A reaction to your story if you post one. A memory she tags you in. She's not doing it out of love. She's doing it because silence is suffocating her. She's trying to get you to break, to remind herself she still matters, that she still has access, that she can still flip the switch and make you respond like before. But when you don't bite, when your silence holds, she starts to unravel. That's when the game stops being fun. That's when the moves start to feel desperate, because now she's playing against herself, trying everything she can to get a reaction out of a man who's no longer emotionally present. And that's what stings. Not that you're angry, not that you're bitter, but that you're indifferent. She thought the silence was temporary. She thought it was a bluff, but now the panic is real, because all her moves are landing in a void. And for the first time, she's chasing a man who's no longer even playing the game. Number 8, she starts romanticizing you. Now that silence has erased the chaos, her memory starts to distort. The arguments fade. The reasons she pulled away seem smaller. The flaws she used to focus on don't hit the same. Instead, what she starts to feel is a soft, creeping nostalgia, selective memory. She starts remembering you at your best. The consistency, the presence, the way you always showed up when no one else did. She starts to rewrite the story in her head, not because it's true, but because it hurts less than facing what she lost. You're no longer the man she got bored of or took for granted. You've become the man she should have appreciated, the one who cared, the one who stayed, the one who wasn't the problem. This is the psychology of absence. It purifies memory. It turns reality into fantasy. And the longer you remain silent, the more she fills in the blanks with what she wants to believe. She starts wondering if maybe it wasn't as bad as she made it out to be, if maybe she overreacted, if maybe, just maybe, she walked away from something she didn't understand until it was gone. She's no longer mad. She's no longer indifferent. She's idealizing you, and that's the twist. Your silence didn't just make her miss you, it made her forget the version of herself that let you go. Number 9. She realizes she's lost access. This is where the truth hits her hardest. Not when she misses you, not when she's confused, not even when she starts romanticizing the past. It hits when she finally understands. You're not just silent, you're gone. She didn't just lose your presence, she lost her access, and no matter what she says or does, she can't reach you like she used to. Before, she had emotional leverage. She could send a message and shift your entire mood. She could call and hear the need in your voice. She could distance herself and wait for you to come chasing. That version of you was accessible, reactive. But this new version? He doesn't move for noise. He doesn't flinch at bait. He doesn't entertain what no longer serves him. And that stillness, that boundary, that emotional firewall, it's real. She starts to feel it in her chest, that sick tension that comes from knowing something's truly over, that she pushed too far, waited too long, played one too many games, and now the space between you isn't temporary, it's permanent. And it wasn't created by anger, it was created by elevation. She realizes she doesn't just miss the connection, she misses the version of you who still would have answered. And now that he's gone, she's not sure who she's even reaching for anymore, because every time she tries, she runs into silence. And that silence doesn't blink, doesn't bend, doesn't open. Number 10. She feels the one thing you now protect: peace. At last the silence becomes something undeniable, something she can't outrun, distract herself from, or manipulate back into comfort. She doesn't just feel the absence of your attention, she feels the presence of your peace. It radiates. It's in the way you no longer react, no longer explain, no longer play along. You've stopped responding not out of pride, but out of preservation. You've chosen peace, and that choice is louder than any text she'll ever send. That's what stings the most. Not your anger, not your heartbreak, but your calm. Because calm means you're not emotionally hooked. Calm means the storm has passed, and you've stepped out of it. She can feel it, in your silence, in your stillness, in the way you don't check in, don't reach out, don't engage. Not because you're cold, but because you're healed. Your peace is power, not because it intimidates her, but because it exposes everything she lost. You were once tangled in emotion, confused about what you deserved, but now you're clear, grounded, stoic, and the more at peace you become, the more chaotic her mind gets, because peace is the one thing she can't fake, can't copy, and can't reach anymore, because it no longer includes her. This is the final stage. Not revenge, not victory, resolution. You're not proving a point. You've just moved on in the quietest, strongest way possible, by protecting your peace and never letting her disrupt it again. She felt the silence. She heard the absence. But what she never expected to feel was your peace. Because peace means you're done. Peace means you've outgrown the noise. Peace means you've chosen yourself permanently. If you've stopped reacting, stopped reaching, and finally found strength in your stillness, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and comment below, "She felt my silence. Now she sees my peace." This is Stoic Blessing. Stay calm, stay sharp, stay untouchable.